Tim Marshall. Welcome to R&B Showcase Live, coming at you live from the heart and soul of Philadelphia. We got another great show for you here today. But before we get started, we got to introduce our co-host from the R&B Showcase radio show. Mr. Kevin White is here.
How you doing, Tim?
I'm doing well. Tell us a little bit about your show.
Well, I have a show called The Crossover. It comes on from 5 to 6 on Sundays on WPPM. And you may hear anything from rock to pop, R&B, new, old. I play it all.
Sounds good to me. And then we have our other co-hosts. On the far right, we've got Mr. Julian Seward.
How are you, Tim?
I'm doing well, man. It's a great day. Great day in Philadelphia.
Absolutely, for sure.
Tell us about your show.
My show is called My Bittersweet Philosophy. It comes on right before Mr. Kevin White's show from 3 to 5. And it's really just a outward expression of all my inner thoughts and the things I love to do creatively.
Thank you so much for being here with us here today. We're going to say TSOP, the sound of Philadelphia. And we are just very honored today to have with us a guest co-host. Now, he's on the show quite a number of times, but we have him back here with us today. And we're talking about Mr. Tommy McCarthy from WOGL-FM Philadelphia, one-time program music director, right, Tommy?
Music director
and
for
also
25 years.
25 years.
25 years.
And
I picked the hits. I played Russell all the time.
And WPGR also,
Absolutely.
right?
WPGR, WIOQ.
And tell us some of the people you work with on that station. Because I grew up listening to that station.
I worked with the Geeter with the Heater, Jerry Blavitt. I worked with High Skier Rooney McValio Zoot, High Lit, and Harvey Holiday.
Now, were you there? Jason was there too? Jason Music Mason, were you there with him? Was there?
He came after I was gone.
That's
after High Lit and I went to WOGL,
right.
That's when he came on. Yes.
Well,
that's
thank
right.
you for being with us, man.
Many years.
Appreciate you being with us
Doing
today.
all the gigs, yep.
And we're all honored here today to welcome a very, very special guest. And we talk about the sound of Philadelphia. I mean, the classic hits. I mean, You Make Me Feel Brand New, Stone in Love with You, Betcha by Golly Wow, influential to so many great artists and vocal groups and singers and high tenors throughout the years. And we are so honored to have him as part of the show here today. Please give a nice round of applause to our very special guest from the Stylistics. When you break out the vinyl, all right? When you lay the needle in the tracks and separate the soul from the wax, his voice is the voice you hear on the records. Ain't nothing like the real thing, y'all. We're going to welcome to the R&B Showcase television show the incomparable Russell Thompkins Jr.
Yes, all right.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you very much for having me.
Let me add the voice of the Stylistics.
Yes, I'm the voice of the old and the new style.
That's right. So he has a group now called Russell Thompkins Jr. and the New Stylistics.
Yes.
When you go back and you listen to like I said, you listen to these albums. I mean, just so many. Hold on to that from there. We got enough albums to pass around here. Tommy, you want to hold that one?
I'll be more than happy to.
Pass one down.
Nothing
Julian.
but the hits.
All right. This is round 2. All right. This was the second one I think you did, right, Russell?
Yes, it is.
Second album.
Yes, yes.
I'm gonna hold, and I got one more, but I'm gonna hold my favorite album right here, and that is Rock and Roll Baby. This is my favorite album by you, Russell.
Yep.
Yes,
Rock
it's
and Roll
weathered.
Baby. Yes. You know what? I wore the grooves off this album, but I have another album like this, right, at home, and it's just as weathered as this one.
Okay.
So, but I got the original scratchy but catchy vinyl
Okay.
on the album, so I got the original stuff. And you're on the Avco record label, you know, so it's good stuff. So,
Many moons ago.
So yes, but I'm honored to have you here today, man. We
Thank you.
just appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule. I know you're touring, you're on the road, you're traveling, you're here, you're there, you're everywhere.
Well, I've been trying to get to you for so long, and you vice versa. You know, because I never can forget you because you work with one of my most favorite people since I've been in the music business, Larry Cotton.
Yes, indeed. Yes, my good friend Larry Cotton. And Larry was the co-host, a longtime co-host on the R&B Showcase radio show for many years.
Yes.
And thank you very much for that.
Yes.
We do go back a long ways.
Yes, we do.
Yes, you do. I appreciate that. It's so nice to be remembered. I appreciate that, brother. I appreciate that. But so since we're talking about going back, Russell, I think we should take this opportunity just to go back a little bit and share some history because so much is written about it and so much you hear about it. But I want to hear from you, from the artist himself, you know, how the Stylistics came together.
Well, I have to go back to about 1963 when we all were in junior high school together, Vaux Junior High School at 24th and Master, and we all sang in a glee club together. And when we graduated from Vaux Junior High School, most of the guys who eventually would be in the Stylistics went to Benjamin Franklin High School down here on Broad Street, and I went to Saw up on Henry Avenue. But I was coming down to Ben Franklin every day to hook up with them so we could sing in the subway. And when we were two different groups, the Monarchs and the Percussions, and we sang in different talent shows all over Philadelphia. And at the end of our years in high school, 1968, when we graduated, we lost members from two different groups, the Percussions and the Monarchs. And an English teacher in Ben Franklin had the idea of taking the remainder of both groups and putting them together because of obligations of going into the military and going back to further education. There was only 3 left from the Monarchs and 2 left from the Percussions. And she put them both together, and we became Stylistics in 1968.
All right, so tell us about when you started recording, some of your first recordings that you did.
Well,
Was that the Stylistics? Or was it another
yes, the first recording was in '69, and the old Virtue Studios on Broad Street, and we did our first record. We didn't know anything about recording or what would come from that, and we went in and did You're a Big Girl Now. Okay. And the funny thing about You're a Big Girl Now was, we had, like I had said, we just came out of high school in '68. And like other guys were going on to further education, and some of the guys were going to Vietnam. But the ones remaining, we had to get a job. So I went and got me a good job. My father had taught me to drive forklift when I was a young man. And I got a job at Y&Y Popcorn Company. I'll never forget it. I was 17 years old, 18 years old, and they would allow me to drive. You know, I had just started driving, and I was driving. I mean, this was a very good job for 1968. If you wasn't a intellectual or something like that, you know, a labor job. And my manager came to me right after I got the job and said, I got a gig for y'all in Newport, Rhode Island, and it's for 2 weeks. I just got a job. What you mean? So I went home at the time, and I talked to my wife, and I talked to my parents, and asked them what I should do. Should I quit my job and go out here and chasing something that might not have any future in it? And they told me to follow my heart. And I quit the job, went to Newport, Rhode Island, and it was for 2 weeks. My family came up to see me the second week that I was working there and said, you know, y'all got a hit record in Philadelphia. Oh, wow, what's that? We only recorded one. So, so it had to, said Georgie Woods is playing your record all day long. Yeah. And when we came home, we were local stars. And that was the beginning of us moving on to more recording and more gigs and traveling more. And with the fortunes from God and a lot of luck, you know, our careers started to grow.
Now, you mentioned Georgie Woods. Did your group have a chance to perform at the Uptown Theater in Philly?
I was born around the corner from the Uptown Theater, on Carlisle and Diamond. And I was going to Uptown. I never thought I would be on that stage. Yeah. I would go see the Motown Review and different shows that was coming in the 60s. And by 1970, I think it was, 1970, I played the Uptown Theater the first time. And
you did You're a Big Girl Now there on that?
Yes, okay. We did You're a Big Girl Now, and family and everybody I knew in the world was in the audience. You talking about being afraid.
But you mentioned 1969 that you recorded that song, Your Big Girl Now. Yes. So that was on the album. Do you have the album here? Right. Okay, so it's on the Stylistics album. This is the first album you did for under Thom Bell's productions?
Yes. You're a Big Girl Now came out on a local label called Sebring. Okay. And after the work that Philadelphia DJs did with it, like he mentioned earlier, people like Jerry Blavitt, High Ski Roots or Fatty O'Zoots, and Harvey Holiday, and all the DJs that were working in the 60s on all the stations here in Philadelphia had a chance to push our record for us. And it started to move out of Philadelphia, you know, going to the tri-state area. we started getting gigs in Baltimore, getting gigs in Washington, New York City. We eventually did the Apollo Theater.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And a company called Afro Embassy wanted to pick us up, and they picked the Stylistics up and pushed You're a Big Girl Now nationwide. And with the help of James Brown, who my manager was managing at the time, we went on a 35 one-night tour with James Brown. And, and people, you know, at that time there was no MTV, nowhere. You didn't know how the act looked. But because of the exposure coming through with James Brown, going to so many cities, it was such a big boost for the Stylistic to be seen. So there was a face to the music. And I think I went ahead a little too fast. Right after I got with Afro Embassy, they sent me down to the brewery building down Broad and Lucas, and they said, you're gonna meet a guy named Thom Bell.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, let's talk about meeting Thom Bell. That's when you start getting into these fantastic productions. And when I talk about this album, the thing that stands out, before we even get to the vocals, is the arrangements, the productions, the songwriting, absolutely beautiful music. I mean, this is the greatest music in the world, really, you know?
Well, at that time, as I didn't know, because I was just trying to build my career. I was working in nightclubs and cabarets all here in Philly. During that time, it was always work that you could do in every weekend. I mean, it was cabarets all over Philadelphia, as you would know, and a lot of clubs to work. And we were really satisfied with working more so than the recordings. And when the recordings came out, all they did was, you know, make the work more, and we could add a little bit more money to how much. And to talk about Thom Bell, when I went down there to meet Thom Bell, that's the thing that changed my life. Because at 18 years old, 19, I went in and Thom Bell showed me everything. He gave me my sound. And he showed me everything I would need for the rest of my life to be a recording artist and an entertainer.
Because You're a Big Girl Now, that's a difference. That was recorded before Thom Bell, right?
Yes. In fact, the writers of You're a Big Girl Now was Lamar Bryant and Robert Douglas. And Robert Douglas is also the one, well, let me go back again. When we were two different groups, the Percussions and the Monarchs, of course we wanted to keep the Monarchs and they wanted to keep the Percussions. And the guitar player at that time, Robert Douglas, who wrote You're a Big Girl Now, said, why don't you call yourself the Stylistics? And it stuck. It came from him.
Awesome. So then you get into the Thom Bell era, you know, Linda Creed, what a great songwriter.
Yes.
Lyricist, right? She was a lyricist.
Yes, she was. When I went in to meet Tommy, I remember that morning very well. I walked through the door, and he didn't even say hello to me. He just said, the first thing we're going to do is bring that key down. Because I should sing everything as high as I possibly could sing it, you know, because I thought people would like that. He said, no. First thing we're going to do is bring that key down. I said, I'm not going to like this guy. And after listening to the music and listening to his instruction, better things got into my mind and told me to keep your mouth shut. Listen to what this guy has to say. But I came through the door, met Tommy, and I saw Linda. I had been working different cabarets and shows with Linda before that because she was also an artist. She also sang. And so that broke the ice, knowing someone in there.
Now, where did you record these songs at? Was it Sigma Sound Studios?
Yes, the old Sigma, the one on 12th Street. 12th and, what's that, Race?
12th and Race.
Yeah, 12th and Race.
That was open until then it closed recently, I think, right? Didn't it?
I think it was not the same thing anymore.
Right.
You know?
They changed
yeah, because I was doing some things for a movie, and they were meeting there. They had meetings, but it wasn't a studio anymore. But that's where it all started. We were down there, and I did a couple of songs in the old Cameo Parkway studio.
Okay, that's 309 South Broad Street.
Yes.
Is that where Gamble and Huff had their
office?
Yes,
there?
the office is there. Yeah, but the Cameo was right next to it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Fantastic. What was that studio like?
Oh, that was wonderful. I had been in Cameo Parkway before that, When I was about 16 years old, a friend of mine was an engineer there. And one night he snuck me in. He let me sing in front of a microphone. That was the first time I could hear myself back at the old studio.
So talking about Thom Bell and the Sound of Philadelphia, talk about some of these songs now. After you're a big girl now, and then you went into production with Your Everything and all these other tracks. So what was that recording process like for you in the studio, working with Thom Bell?
Well, first of all, you have to get out of the office. You would, sitting down at the piano with Tommy Bell in the office, he could sing everything I sang.
Okay.
He
was a tenor, wasn't he?
Yes. And I would sit down with him, and he would sing the song to me, and then we would figure out which key I wanted to sing it in. Then I would have to learn the melody and the lyrics. And it was like tailor-made. I didn't know that I had prepared myself to actually work with Tommy Bell from listening to things when I was growing up. And from listening to my first recordings, my first records I ever owned were 3 albums. One was a Frank Sinatra album, one was a Dionne Warwick album, one was Morgana King. And from listening to them and learning every song on there, it was actually training my mind to that type of sound and to that type of music, because the music that was coming from Tommy wasn't R&B, and it wasn't rock and roll. It had actually no sound, and it was given later, but it actually came from Dionne Warwick, because she was the first easy listening crossover artist that I knew of. Totally different from most people that were singing at that time, which was the Motown stuff. It was the hottest thing that was moving. But I like Motown. Smokey Robinson and Eddie Kendricks were people that I listened to a lot, and I would like to emulate. But Dionne Warwick was the one. Burt Bacharach.
Right.
That sound is something that I think will never go away. And Tommy Bell also listened. So when we got together, it was like magic. And not just with Tommy Bell and myself. At that time, the Mighty Three music with Kenny Gamble, Leon Huff, and Tommy, they were making magic. They were making history with the Blue Notes, Howard Melvin Blue Notes, and a stable of other artists that were coming out of Philly. OJ's,
Teddy Pendergrass,
Teddy, yeah.
Phyllis Hyman, covered a lot of your material.
I mean, they were, everything they touched, turned to gold.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome. It must have been awesome working with Tommy Bell.
Oh, it was awesome working with everyone there, because not so much until I came back, because I did 3 albums with Tommy, and after that I went to the people at the Afghan Embassy had brought out the music part from Afghan Embassy, which was a motion picture company. They brought the music label from them, and they became H&L Records. And they were the producers, Hugo and Luigi.
Yeah.
Okay. You wanted to ask some questions about that, didn't you?
Yeah, I always say that that period from about Let's Put It All Together to You Are Beautiful is probably one of my favorite runs of albums that I've ever heard. I wanted to talk about how in that time, I was living overseas. I was living in Jamaica.
Okay.
The Stylistics and Bob Marley were like the 2 biggest acts on the island at that time. Do you realize how big you guys were in Jamaica?
I was going to Jamaica every year.
Yes.
And doing gigs there. And one of my, if you lived there at that time, you know one of my biggest friends that I met when I first started going there, and he sang the songs just like I did. His name was Barry Biggs.
Yes.
And me and Barry became very, very good friends. Barry could sing all of my songs and all the Blue Magic songs in reggae. But I didn't know how big we were in the Caribbean. All over, still being played there, and I still work there a lot.
Yeah, I used to get a magazine out of the UK. I think it was called Black Music.
Okay.
And the Stylistics were on the cover. Every other magazine that came out would be Stylistics, somebody else. Stylistics, somebody else.
Besides for the United States, the UK was our biggest market. You said from the time of Let's Put It All Together to You Are Beautiful. that became a drought here in the United States for us, because after Tommy Bell, a lot of the R&B listeners and black listeners, they didn't take to Hugo and Weegie so much.
Oh, I love that stuff.
But it took off in the UK. I was going to leave the group after we were working with Tommy Bell. I just couldn't see any light after that until I went to work with Hugo and Luigi, and I sat down, negotiated a contract and everything, and I asked them who was going to be my producer. And when they said Van McCoy,
Yes.
I knew it would be all right, because I knew the work that Van had done with Last Night and the Pips and different people.
Yeah.
And right about that time, I don't remember, I just know it was very close, but you know, he was hitting with the hustle.
That came about 2 years or 3 years after I started working with Van.
Yeah.
Because Van, before that, gave us a song that had the same beat, the same rhythm as the hustle, and it became our biggest worldwide record in Japan, the Philippines, in England, and all over the Far East, and that was I Can't Give You Anything But My Love.
I love this song, man. That's one of my favorites.
And that changed. That was the song that changed people's ideas about the Stylistics, because a lot of people didn't like when we left Tommy Bell, because the sound had changed so drastically. But because of Van McCoy, it pushed. I've been fortunate to work with some of the greatest producers, you know, and writers. It was so much luck involved. You know, I would leave one person and go with someone else. After I worked with Van McCoy, I left and I went to Mercury Records, and my two favorite albums that I don't listen to myself. I only listen to them things when I have to learn a new song or put it into a show or whatever. But I worked with a writer by the name of Teddy Rendazzle.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
And I did 2 albums with Teddy Rendazzle, and they are the albums that I like to listen to.
Right.
You know, that was a very special time working with Teddy.
Well,
And,
look what he did for Little Anthony as well.
Exactly.
I mean, he brought Little Anthony back in the height of the British invasion.
Yes.
He resurrected Little Anthony's career then.
Yeah, I was going to say, for the people who don't know who Teddy Rendazzle was, he did do Going Out of My Head and different songs that Little
Hurt
Anthony
So Bad,
did.
yeah.
Hurt So Bad.
Yeah.
And he was also a heartthrob. He was one of them when the what was his name? When the Alan Freed
Yes, he was in a couple of the Alan Freed movies with Tuesday Weld. I know.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Oh, right.
He was. Yeah, he even arranged some Sinatra albums as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the history guy.
Well, he played Jimmy. What album you got there, Tom?
Yeah, the greatest
Yeah, the
hits,
greatest
whatever.
hits.
That's what we played on OGL. Nothing but the hits.
Yeah, Break Up the Makeup, Bet You By Golly,
Right.
wow, you make me feel
Oh, yeah,
brand new. I
yeah.
mean, the list just goes on and on.
I
Let's
mean,
put it all together.
look at these.
People make the world go around.
Yeah,
Rossi
without-
influenced so many artists,
So
man.
many.
Talk about some of the
Oh,
people.
from
if
what
I,
I
if-
hear.
If I mention a few names to some people, what's the first thing that comes to mind if I say William Hart?
William Hart is where I, reverse again, did not know anything about Tommy Bell.
Okay.
When they said, I want you to go down to the brewery building and meet a guy by the name of Tommy Bell, I had no idea who Tommy Bell was. But before that, because I didn't have any songs of my own, I sang other tenor songs. So I would sing everything that Smokey Robinson had, everything that Eddie Kendrick and the Temptations had, The Moments, Love on the Two-Way Street was one of my biggest songs I did at the shows. And William Hart, the Delphonics. And I was singing everything that William had ever made. I was crazy about William Hart. And when I got up there and I talked to Tommy Bell, I was wondering who this guy was. He said, well, I wrote all the songs for the Delphonics and produced them. I said, oh my God, I know I need to keep my mouth shut now.
All I Means I Love You, Did I Blow Your
Yeah,
Mind this time? We had
all
him on the
of
show
them.
a while ago.
William is, in my opinion, there's 2 tenors that I think are the greatest, 3 tenors that I think are the greatest ones who came out of Philadelphia. And that's William Hart, Eddie Holman, and Ron Tyson, who is with the Temptations now.
Right.
I remember him from the Ethics and Love Committee,
Love
right?
Committee,
Yeah.
absolutely.
He had some beautiful, beautiful music.
Yeah.
And besides from Eddie Kendricks and Smokey Robinson, when I was very, very young, and I was first listening to R&B type of music before I had the Warwick albums and them. The other tenors I listened to was Frankie Valli and the Beach Boys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I was doing a song. I can't remember the name of the song now, but I did shows with the Beach Boys, and I was learning one of their songs, "Don't Worry, Baby."
Okay.
That's a good song.
Yeah, and I was practicing in that. I was practicing learning this song because I know I had to be on the show with the Beach Boys. And my wife said, "You know that guy? He sounds an awful lot like you." I said, "No, I sound an awful lot like that." You know, from listening to him. And I cheered the Beach Boys and the Four Seasons on because they were the only ones who could fight against the British invasion.
That was it. That was it.
Because when the Beatles and them came here, they was knocking everybody off.
Right. Yeah, when they came, you're right with that. They were the two, like, quote unquote, white groups who survived that, and Motown.
Yes.
Motown survived the entire British invasion, as well as on the West Coast with the Beach Boys and the East Coast with the Four Seasons.
Exactly.
That's really what kept the American sound alive, because of all the quote unquote teen idols prior to that Dick Clark was promoting, the Bobby Rydells and Frankie Avalons and Fabians, those kind of guys. They were totally wiped off the map.
Yeah.
You know, even Elvis, the movie career saved him. I mean, even Elvis, as big as he was, when the British invasion came, the movies is what kept his career really alive. Can I ask a question? When going back to Thom Bell and Linda Creed, did you ever have trepidation in moving on in your career, knowing how well they produced and wrote and structured your music, that another producer would be able to carry that forward? Were you like afraid that this could be something you're walking away from that you can't go back to?
Yes. In fact, in 1973, I did my last album with Tommy Bell. And when he had a dispute with African Embassy, with Hugo and Luigi about, I guess it was business, it must have been money. I wasn't privy to the information. But when they said Tommy wasn't going to be working with us anymore, I panicked. I was like, what's going on? I said, my career is just taking off. People love me singing these songs, and you're taking my producer away from me.
Right.
And I was going to quit. I said, if he leaves, I'm going to leave. And I just happened to do a show with Eddie Kendricks.
Oh, okay.
And Eddie Kendricks sat me down and he told me, he said, do you know how many people you're feeding? He said, all them guys on stage with you, the band, the singers, think about their children, think about their kids, think about everybody that live off of what you're doing.
Right.
And I made the decision to stay, and I stayed for about another 30 years.
Well,
before I
that'll
left.
do it.
Yeah.
That'll do it. Yeah.
Well, talking about great tenors, you are definitely one of the greatest of all time. We want to thank you for taking the time to be with us here today, to share such great history with us here. We
Thank you, Tim.
certainly appreciate you. Can we give a nice, rousing round of applause to the legendary Russell Thompkins Jr. of the Stylistics? Give it up one more time for Russell, y'all.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much.
We appreciate you, man. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you, and I'd like to thank the people of whenever I get a chance, the people here in Philadelphia, for letting me have a job for the last 58 years.
We appreciate you, man.
That's
Appreciate
right.
you. Thank you so much. So I want to thank my co-host here, Julian Seward. Thank you, Julian.
Pleasure as always.
Mr. Kevin White.
Thank you, Tim.
Mr. Tommy McCarthy,
Thank you.
broadcast pioneer here in Philadelphia.
My
from
pleasure.
OGL, WPGR with High Lit and Jerry Blavitt.
Right.
And
But sitting
Harvey
next to the
Holiday.
legend today.
And yes, the legendary Russell Thompkins Jr. One more time for Russell.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. I am Tim Marshall, and thank you for joining us for R&B Showcase Live.